Hello, everybody. Shalom. This is Ted Hayes, a.k.a. Mr. Citizen Patriot, America's number one citizen, and for us black folks, a super bad brother. I'm your host for another exciting, enlightening, insightful episode of Your Power Weapon. Now, I put weapon in quotations, folks, quotations, weapon. So we don't want the NSA or anyone monitoring us, any clandestine organization, to think that we are promoting weaponry, violence, guns, and things like that to win this revolution that we're in. No, we're a peaceful group of people. We're here, y'all, every Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Coast time, and 10 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. And all of y'all in between, you know what to do to catch up with us and find out what's going on. Now, make sure, as y'all watch us now, you go to urbansmartnetwork.com, urbansmartnetwork.com, this channel, and you like us, and you Facebook us, and you Twitter us, and you get involved. And if you want to start your own podcast, you just contact the station here and they will hook you up and get you rolling like they got a bunch of other folks rolling on our show. Urban Smart Network, one of the fastest growing black-owned shows, internet podcast shows in America. Your Power Weapon is based on the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment. Now, most of y'all don't know what that is. I would wager that I would say 95% of black people in America don't know what the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1866 is. I will tell you what it is, but I want you to go and study it on your own. The 14th Amendment, Civil Rights Act of 1866 is, well, it's your power weapons. What it is, it's your citizenship. It is your national birth identity citizenship. That is who you are in the United States Constitution. Yes, we are American Africans, that is, Africans brought to America, brought here in the bondages and chains and slavery, but we were set free from that. And according to the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, which is in the Constitution, we are now, more than anything else, American citizens, United States citizens. And this is where a lot of our confusion is coming in, folks. We're trying to be Nigerians, we're trying to be Moors, we're trying to be this and that and the other, all based on our skin color. Based on our skin color. No. We don't have the 14th Amendment. Just get this thing right. We don't have the 14th Amendment because of our skin color. We have the 14th Amendment, Civil Rights Act of 1866, because of the way in which we, American Africans becoming Americanized, were brought into this country. It's got nothing to do with minority status. It's got nothing to do with nationality. It's got nothing to do with skin color. It has to do with the unique experience by which we were brought into this United States. And if you go to Urban Smart Network, scroll over to programs. And when you hit programs, you scroll down to the bottom and you'll see Your Power Weapon. Now you go there and you'll see 21 episodes of Your Power Weapon on Urban Smart Network. And you go to the first one, because in the first episode is a pretty clear, well, we spent a whole lot of time actually explaining to you what this power weapon of the 14th Amendment Civil Rights Act of 1866 actually is. Now, I want you to go to the 14th, the digital 1, digital 4, th, the 14th.com. The 14th.com. and you'll see all of my writings and teachings on the power that you have in the Constitution of the United States. You have a power that no other American citizen has. You have a power that was so great that was described in the 10 sections of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, a power so great that as a united body politic, as we learn this, we have the authority to actually arrest or have the president of the United States arrested, or any member of Congress, or any member of the judiciary, the Supreme Court, if it is found that any branch or any individual is violating our 14th Amendment citizenship rights and authority, we can have them put in jail. And it also shows you how we have access to the United States military to defend our citizenship. We're the only people got that. I'm going to show y'all something. Y'all remember a cat named Abraham Lincoln? Yeah, you do. Abraham Lincoln, that's right. The cat that was our #1 champion. Abraham Lincoln, you know, he was assassinated. Now, he wasn't assassinated so much because he liberated black folks from slavery, chattel slavery. He wasn't assassinated because he abolished slavery, 13th Amendment. He was assassinated because he wanted to empower the freed slaves with enough superpower status whereby we can catch up with the Americans of willing immigration. Now, y'all remember something. They always said that America is a nation of immigrants, that it's a melting pot. That's because they came here willingly. That's him, that white dude right there. You normally see him with a beard. He grew a beard because after he got elected, as he was president-elect, this little white girl up in New York said, "Sir, you're such an unattractive person. I think it would help you if you grew a beard." And of course, Abraham Lincoln grew the beard that he is now famous for. But that cat right there, that white boy, that white man right there, he was assassinated. He was assassinated because he wanted to grant power to black folks so that we can catch up with the Americans of willing immigration. See, they came here with the American dream in their eyes. We didn't come here with no American dream in our eyes. We came with any dream. We want to get back to the continent and run down the cats, the black cats that put us on them slave ships that brought us here. No, we don't have the American dream. Martin Luther King said, and I have a dream. Don't believe me? Go read it. He said that I have a dream. He didn't say I have an American dream. He said, I have a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. And then he goes on to say the next sentence. He says, I dream that one day you Americans will rise up, you people of willing immigration who wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. I dream that one day y'all will rise out to live out the true meaning of your creed. Your creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all human beings are created equal. And at the time that Martin Luther King said that, in 1963, August 28th, in Washington, D.C., at the time he said that, we was fighting for our civil right that was granted to us, 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment, that we have been denied by something we call Jim Crow. Now, a lot of y'all young people, white and black and otherwise, y'all know nothing about that Jim Crow thing. I lived under Jim Crow. I know what Jim Crow is. And now, I didn't have it as bad as some of my brothers and sisters down south, because I grew up in Maryland. At some point, I was, grew up in Alabama too. But we know about Jim Crow, and you need to learn, because I'm going to tell you something. What's happening right now, I don't want to digress too far here, because we're going to come back to this COVID mandate, vaccination mandate thing that's going on, and when they tell you that you got to get this shot to work. You got to get this shot this jab, they call it, to be in the federal government. You got to get this shot to be in the state, county, and municipal government. You got to get this shot to go into supermarkets or stores or gyms or public recreation places. You got to get this shot. And you got to have proof that you got the shot, the jab. So when you go to a store or a restaurant and they say to you, welcome, let me see your papers. Have you been vaccinated? Are you not a threat to the rest of us? If you do not have them papers, you are not allowed to come in to this establishment. Now, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, that is modern day Jim Crow. It don't just affect us black folks now. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying it just affects us. It affects every American citizen. And you know what? It's going on around the world. It's happening in Australia, Austria, Germany, France, England, all over the world. This modern day Jim Crow that's separating human beings from one another based on an experimental drug. An experimental drug. Did you know, folks, do your research, it takes 6 to 7 years to test the efficacy, the effectiveness of a vaccine. We don't know what's going to happen in your body and in your mind. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm going by what I sense and what I can read and what I can hear. And I got to calculate all that into my mind. And something inside of me, like a sixth sense or seventh sense, telling me, no, do not take this experimental drug. Even if it means that you cannot work, you cannot go to the gym, you cannot go in a restaurant. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I have thus far been Jim Crowed 5 times. 5 times. And see, where we, black citizens, constitutional 14th Amendment, 1866, civil rights, black citizens, we have a legitimate, a moral, legal right to question this vaccine, this experimental vaccine, particularly in the fact that they mandated it. Now, perhaps had they not mandated it and just coerced us, you know how black folks are, you know how we are, we very emotional, responsive, and if you can jingle something shiny in front of me, yeah, I will submit. But they couldn't wait that long. They decided to make you do it. Now, here's something, folks. Here's something I want you to think about. Here's something I want you to think about. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Dr. Fauci, and Lord knows who was in the room when they was discussing the mandated COVID vaccine, that they did not take the time to consider 1 year later, what were we saying last year? Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. It matters so much that they're out there in that street across from the White House. They got written out there, Black Lives Matter. Joe Biden said, Kamala Harris said, all them folks in the White House said, Black Lives Matter. Well, apparently, our lives don't matter. Because when they sat down to consider this mandate, they did not consider the fact that you and I, descendants of chattel slaves, the Jim Crow people, they did not consider our sensitivity that we have been experimented on. They didn't take into consideration the so-called Tuskegee experiments and other experiments on our bodies. They felt like it don't matter. These are black folks. They don't matter. You see, that's look, I don't know if Kamala and Joe and them was drunk. on power and just insensitive when they mandated and they did not consider black lives, that our lives matter, that we have a legitimate paranoia, a legitimate fear and concern. They either just didn't care or that we are not that significant to consider. Although they'll consider gays, they'll consider, what's those people? The transgenders, where a boy could go to bed one night, a boy, a male, wake up the next morning saying, well, I'm a female. I feel like a female today. And then the next day I feel like a male again. We have to consider the sensitivities of these people and gay people. And we have to consider the sensitivities of women, for example, with the issue of abortion. White women particularly, it should be black women fussing about it because we black folks, we are 40% of the abortion rate. Remember, the leader of the initiator of the abortion movement, Margaret Sanger, her whole idea was to kill us, was to minimize us. Do you know that since the Roe v. Wade back in 1972, I believe it was when it was passed, did you know that we have lost about 23 or 4 million of our children? They say, scholars say, that had Roe v. Wade not come into existence, that we would be somewhere instead of circa 40 million of us to be like maybe 73 million black citizens with this power of the 14th Amendment. And they knew we was coming. They knew we was coming. And so Margaret Sanger said, we got to kill them people. Kill them. Remember Moses, how the Pharaoh decided to kill all the baby boys in Egypt, abort them, because they knew that at some point the Messiah, the Hebrew Messiah, would come one day. And remember, 1,000 years later, when King Herod of Israel, seeking to kill Yeshua, Jesus the Messiah, as a baby, tried to abort him. Why? Because they feared that one day that baby would grow up and become ruler. And that's what Margaret Sanger and all the white supremacists felt. So here we go, Joe Biden. Here we go, Kamala Harris. Here we go, Dr. Fauci. Y'all sitting down talking about you want to save the world, save lives, yet you did not take the time to consider the sentiments of the people upon whose back this nation of immigrants is built. Without us. Without us, there'd be no America, y'all. There'd be no America. Or maybe the crew behind the screen, the curtains, who was working on this mandate, maybe they thought, you know what? Bunk them niggas, man. We know they paranoid. We know what we put them through for 400 years. We know how we treated them and tested them, experimented on them. We know that. We know that. But you know what? Bunk them. They ain't nobody. They holler Black Lives Matter, but obviously to them, Black lives do not matter. Well why? Why not? Well, for one thing, the Congressional Black Caucus leaders did not come down here to the White House and sat with us and said, hey, Mr. President, Mr. Fauci, President Fauci, what y'all getting ready to do? Man, it's wrong. You are not being respectful to our sensibilities. You respect everybody else's sensibilities, and you said Black Lives Matter, but apparently to y'all, Black lives don't matter. So therefore, we're saying to you, Mr. President, no, you cannot mandate an experimental drug on our people. No, sir. But they didn't go. So Biden them said, well, look at this picture here. Look at this picture here. I don't know whether that girl is about to cry, or whether she's frightened, or whether she's excited. I don't know. Her hands are folded. Maybe she's thinking hopeful, or please God, don't let this thing kill me. And it's wrong what they're doing to these children. You're putting an experimental drug in that baby. You don't know what's going to happen 3, 4, 5, even 6 years from now to that child. But that's what they're doing. Black lives apparently don't matter to these people. And also, let me digress a little bit more here, and I'm gonna come back to this power thing. We black folks, have been bamboozled. We've had the wool pulled over our eyes. We have been hoodwinked. We have been run amok. And once again, we're being run amok. But could it be that every year, because 7,500 young black men are killed by the gunfire of other young black men, every year, 7,500, somewhere in that neighborhood, 7,500. You ask a young black man, hey, young black man, why'd you kill that black man over there? Was it the white racist put you up to that? Was it that old racist cop that put you up to that? No. Well, why'd you kill that young black man? I don't like the fool, man. I don't like the nigga, man. We got the enemy, you see. So Joe Biden and all them racists thought, if black people don't care about black people, why should anybody else care? I remember one time I was speaking with a local sheriff here in L.A., high elected official. And we were having this conversation back and forth. Check that picture out right there. That's not a white man holding a gun to a black man. That's not a black man holding a gun to a white man. He's light-skinned, but hey, black. That's it. Gunfire by the hands of young black men. And see, look, if my engineer right now who's running this program can throw up these pictures and he knows what's going on, and I know what's going on, and a few others of us in this country know what's going on, you know the people who are organizing this mandate and doing all this stuff to us black folks, they know what's going on. Of course they know what's going on. They read, they watch YouTube videos, they see all that stuff about us. And when the brothers be talking about, oh, I could just kill a man, they ain't talking about a white man, they talking about a black man. So that's why we can't be too upset with them, because they see. And they figure if they don't care, like I was saying, this man I was talking with, we were talking this way, right? He got it from his chair. He was sitting across the table from me. He got it from his seat. And the whole time he had his eyes locked on my eyes. And I followed him around the table, right? See what he was going to do. And he had a black bodyguard with him from the department. And we watched him, and he came over and he looked and leaned into my eyes and in my face. He said, Ted, if black people don't care about black people, why should anybody else care about y'all? He said it. And the brother and I looked at each other like, what could we? It's true. Nonetheless, it is immoral what they're doing, and God gonna visit them about this. Nonetheless, it is immoral. Now, let's go back to where we got off the road here and took this little walk around the cul-de-sac. Look here, folks. Let me tell you something. When Lincoln was assassinated, our greatest political champion, when he was assassinated because he wanted to empower us, when his successor, who was a Democrat by the name of Andrew Johnson, I don't get him mixed up with Andrew Jackson, General Andrew Jackson, that fought the Battle of New Orleans in the War of 1812 against the British, not that cat who created the Democratic Party, not that cat that marched the Cherokee Indians and the Trail of Tears, not that cat, Jackson, Andrew, but Andrew Johnson. Johnson, when he read the 14th Amendment, when he read the Civil Rights Act of 1866, when he read the bill, and he read it very carefully, he should, as you should. When he was done, that man said, he said, I can't sign this bill. And everybody said, why not? He said, because it gives too much power. That's him. That's the cat right there. That's the dude. Abraham Lincoln shows him, Lincoln was an erudite kind of guy, always wanting to bring healing and unity. He was, almost seemingly naive sometimes, to his own detriment. But he decided when he ran for president that he would bring on this guy called Andrew Johnson, who was a Democrat, a Southern Democrat, just to show the Democrats that the Republicans are willing to work together to save the Union. Well, when Lincoln was taken out, this cat took over. And when he read the document, he said, I'm going to veto this because, he didn't say because it gives power. He didn't mind the freed slaves having power. You got to have power to live. That's economic, social, civic, political power. You got to have that to live in any country, especially in America. He said, it gives too much power to the black freed slaves over the white citizens. Too much power. And when you read the 10 sections of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which became the 14th Amendment, when you read it, you will agree. You will agree. Wow! I can see now why the Democrats have for 155 years kept us blind to this power, to this reality. I can see why the Democrats for 155 years, in the first 100 years, denied us the right to become literate. Did you know that after the Civil War, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there, you want to know what's up with black people and why we the way we are today? Did you ever hear the statement say, if you want to hide something from black folks, put it in a book, write it down, especially put it in the Constitution, because the Constitution, you tell black folks the Constitution ain't for y'all because y'all not in the Constitution. Black people ain't in the Constitution, so don't read it. Did you know that the Democrats, and this man Johnson, was so afraid of you and me becoming literate that any time white boys and girls from up north, Republicans, would come down south to where the slaves were liberated and tried to educate them and tried to teach them to read and be literate, they lynched them white boys, man. Black folks ain't the only ones got lynched around here now. Don't get it twisted. They lynched them white cats. Yes, sir. In fact, they hated them white cats worse than they hated us. Because, you know what they call them? They call them nigger lovers. Remember that? Nigger lovers. But they hated them. Because them lovers of the niggers wanted us to get educated. See, they burned down our schoolhouses. They burned down our churches. Democrats. They created the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, the white supremacists, the Knights of White, whatever they call it. All that stuff was designed to keep us from the books, from reading. They especially did not want us to read the United States Constitution. And particularly the part that says in the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, where we have the power, we the only people got the power who can actually call on upon the military to defend us, even to put the president in jail, provided that we can demonstrate that the president or the Supreme Court or any Congress member or Senate member has violated our citizenship. So they lynched the brothers and they told us we weren't supposed to read. So 99% of the freed slaves and the freemen of that day, freemen meaning the non-slave American Africans, we were not allowed to read. We could not read. They didn't want us to read. They didn't want us to understand these things because they knew the power that we had. And for 150 years or so, They denied us that. Then a guy, y'all ever hear a white dude by the name of Dwight David Eisenhower, President Dwight David Eisenhower? He had a cat that helped win World War II from the Nazis. That guy is the one who pushed the Brown versus the Board of Education. Look it up. The Brown versus the Board of Education, where in Kansas they were denying black children the right to come to public schools to get the same kind of opportunity to become literate as white students. And that passed in 1954 by the Supreme Court. And in 1957, September 1957, some black children in Little Rock, Arkansas wanted to not go any longer to the all-black school across town, but they wanted to go to the segregated white school. Why? Because the white school had better teachers, had better reading material, had better equipment, had a better school than us black folks did. I know, ladies and gentlemen, because when I lived under Jim Crow, I went to 2 segregated black schools, 2 of them. And I remember as a kid in elementary school opening up the book, see spot run, run spot run. There goes Jane, see Dick chasing Dane. That's not a pun, okay? But those books, we saw names written that was not our names. White kids' names. The books were old and the papers were tattered. Second class education. And so these black students and their mamas and daddies said, nah, like my mama did. My mama said, I'm taking my kid out of this all-black school, and I'm going to put him in a white school. And I was one of the first black people within Aberdeen, Maryland, to integrate into an all-white school. And that happened before the 1964 Civil Rights Act was passed. I busted in there. 7 of us went to that school. So we know. And those kids down in Little Rock, Arkansas, their parents said, I want my kids, my children, to get the same kind of education that white children are getting, so we can know who we are in this country. And you know that the governor of Arkansas, he said, no. We have laws down here in Little Rock. We ain't going to Arkansas. We ain't going to let no niggers mix with our children. And most important, we don't want them to learn to read and become literate, because we know what that's going to do to us. As our great hero, Andrew Johnson, said, this law gives the black citizens too much power over the white citizens. So, your boy Dwight David Eisenhower, being president of the United States and understanding the power of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 2, Section 5, Section 8, and Section 9, he mobilized the military, the National Guard. He federalized them. And them white boys in military uniforms every day for months would walk with those black students to school to protect them from white people, racist people, ignorant racist people. And they had their guns locked and they were loaded. And anybody dare to deny these young black students the right to get literate, we're going to blow you away. Finally, they got hip, and they stopped bothering these black children. You see, folks, we have an incredible power. And one of the reasons that people are coming across that border in the South, the southern border, they're not just Hispanic Latinos, as in the past. They were people from all over, white people, brown people, yellow people, black people. For a country that's supposed to be, a Nazi country, why are these people coming to America? They're coming to America. And you know what they're claiming? Civil rights, y'all. Civil rights, y'all. They're coming here claiming your national identity and birthright. They're taking your intellectual property and they're making it theirs. And we stand around here and wonder what's going on. We run around and killing each other. We run around here shaking the booty. We run around here praising LeBron James and these athletes. Run around here being concerned about Jay-Z and all the rest of them people out there. We are in the condition that we are in, American black people, because of our ignorance. Our ignorance. We don't know who we are. And you know, I'm getting to the point now, folks, and I don't mean to be offensive to you. I really don't. I'm a nice guy, really. When you get to know me, I'm a nice guy. But if you are an American African, a United States citizen, and you are running around in this country advocating for the rights of black people, you are supposedly fighting for the justice of black people and equality and equity. And you are fighting against white supremacy and police brutality. And you're fighting against corporate greed because it affects black folks. And even if you are fighting against the mandate of COVID mandate shot, even if you're doing that, if you don't know this information I'm telling you right now, the 14th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, you got no business in the game, homie. You really don't. For example, if you want to be a combatant in the military, you want to fight for your country, but you are not properly trained, you are not physically fit and psychologically fit, that you don't have a weapon, and if you do have a weapon, you don't know how to use it, and you don't have a target objective, you don't belong on the battlefield. Why? Because you can get yourself killed and everybody else in your platoon killed because you don't know what you are doing. Y'all like sports, right? Football? Like football? How in the world can someone who's who's played maybe high school football, how in the world is this kid going to get out there and play in the freaking Super Bowl when he's not equipped? You don't belong on the field, kid. You're making matters worse. And a lot of you activists and advocates out there, you call yourselves black activists, or civil rights activists. You might be a black activist. Yes, you might be a black activist, but you ain't no civil rights activist. Jesse Jackson is not a civil rights activist. Al Sharpton is not a civil rights activist. Most of the people, past and present, who call themselves civil rights activists, they are not. How do I know that? Because they don't know the 14th Amendment. They don't know the Civil Rights Act of 1866. That is the first thing every United States black citizen needs to know. Just like your regular birth certificate, you need to know this, because if you don't claim it, know it, and activate it, other people certainly will. Why do you think they're allowing these people from other countries to come in here without getting a vaccination shot, a jab? Why they're not being tested? Yet you, my black brother, sister, upon whose back this nation of immigrants is built, you are Jim Crowed if you don't participate in the mandate. Why? Because we don't know who we are. We don't know. And that's like a lot of American people, American citizens, white people. You about to lose your country, white folks, you hear me? You about to lose your country. And I'm going to tell you why you're about to lose your country. Not because of the socialist or the communist or the Marxist. No. Not because of them. You're about to lose this country because of you. You, white people. Because you don't know the Declaration of Independence. You don't know the Constitution. And you don't know the most important law in America right now, and that is the 14th Amendment Civil Rights Act of 1866. Y'all confused. You get people coming over here from other countries, and they castigate you white folks, and they say to you, now I don't mean to be ethnically disrespectful, but they'll say to you white folks and say, what you are doing is not American. You are not, you do not know your Constitution. You are not American. That's like me going to Iran or Saudi Arabia and telling the Saudi Arabians, y'all not Saudis, or y'all not Persians. What? I get my face knocked off. But yet, white people, you let these folks come into your country and tell you who you are, what you ain't, and what you better do. And y'all white people bow down to it. You know why y'all bow down to it? You know why y'all bow down to it? Because again, you don't know who you are in America. Just like we black folks, we don't know who we are in that document right there called We the People of the United States. Now, if you read that document, white people and black people and brown people and red people and yellow people, whoever you are, if you read that document right there, it's something they call the preamble to the Constitution. The preamble. And the preamble, it says, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. Notice something, ladies and gentlemen, when you read the document. Nowhere in the 7 articles of the Constitution or the 27 amendments to the Constitution will you find that the Constitution is ordering the president or any elected official or any government servant, that's what they are, we pay their salaries, we're their bosses, they are servants. You will not find it telling them to more perfect the union, establish justice, ensure domestic peace. You know, during the whole Black Lives Matter demonstrations in 2020 and previous demonstrations, you know, you have people hollering to the police, of all people, hollering to the police, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Okay? They're hollering to the wrong people. Oh, should it be hollering to the mayor or to the governor or to the president? No justice, no peace. No. They don't care about that. That's not their job. You have to holler at you and me. Look in the mirror, as Michael Jackson said. Look in that mirror and you say to yourself, no justice, no peace. Why? Because you have not obeyed your preamble duty. It is your job, collectively, as we the people transcend above our petty ideas and idiosyncrasies, to work together to form a functioning body politic, whereby we tell the people listed in the 7 articles of the Declaration of the Constitution and the 27 amendments, we tell the president, the vice president, the Congress members, the Senate members, the Supreme Court, the military, the governors, the mayors, all these government people, servants, we are to tell them what we the people want, how we want to see the union perfected, how we want to see justice established, how we want to see domestic tranquility and peace, that is, in our neighborhoods. You see, the way the founding fathers set this thing up, we are the masters. We are the nobility. They are the servants. They are like big old, powerful, muscle-bound oxen hooked to our wagon of burden. And we're supposed to crack the whip, and we're supposed to make them, like farm animals, pull our burden. That is the whole issue of America. For the first time in human history, the founding fathers came up with an idea that challenged the monarchy, that challenged the ox, that the beast, the animal, does not rule. The animal pulls, does the bidding of the people. You see, this is the great American experiment. And see, what people don't realize is that King George told the founding fathers, these white dudes, right? He told them, he said, look here, man, I'm paraphrasing. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. I wasn't there. I know I may look like it, but I wasn't there, okay? But he told those white dudes, man, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Quincy Adams, all them dudes, right? He said, y'all got a great idea about people governing themselves, but human nature and the history of civilizations don't bear that out. History and human nature shows that people would rather be told what to do than to give orders. People would rather be forced by an iron fist to work together. They're not going to do it voluntarily. It's a noble idea, but it can't work. The founding fathers came back with, go read the Declaration of Independence. They came back with this guy called God, the creator of nature and the universe. That's the cat right there. Thank you, Smoke. That is crazy King George. They said King George was nuts. King George was not crazy, because King George, if America, black people, white people, brown, red, yellow, American, we the people, if we don't get our act together according to the Declaration of Independence, King George is going to be vindicated after all. He was right. He was right. You see, the founding fathers, though, they said, well, you know, we have this God belief. We believe we have a firm reliance upon the protection of the divine providence. How are we going to make it? God has to get us out of this. God will help us to transcend the natural idiosyncrasies of distrust of one another. White people distrusting black people distrusting white people distrusting white people. By the way, did y'all know, I'm running out of time here. Did y'all, I'm sorry y'all, but my contributors couldn't make it tonight. They got caught up in some things out there here in LA. Oh, there's my boy. Hey. How long you been sitting there, Ghost? That's Keith Hardine, ladies and gentlemen. That's the amazing, wonderful, brilliant Keith Hardine. Keith, I'm gonna digress. Keith, talk to us. How you doing, brother? Welcome to Your Power Weapon on UrbanSmartNetwork.com.
Well, I'm just enjoying the professor's lecture, man.
No, well, you been here all this time?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, yeah, I've been listening. I just enjoy the lecture, man. This is great. Don't stop.
Don't stop. Well, you gotta fact check me though. Okay.
I mean, I spoke for almost an hour, and you have been, man, you just didn't let up.
Really?
The passion was the same the whole time.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel kind of embarrassed actually, because I'm running off at the mouth here. Excuse me, folks.
No, it was good. You know, you were right on, sir.
Is it coming across clear to y'all Americans? You know, white, black. Let me say something to everybody that y'all don't know, that y'all don't understand. I just learned this myself in recent years. Did you know that from the beginning of America's foundation, people say, well, Abraham Lincoln said, he said, America is a nation divided against itself. Quoting Jesus, right? You know, most people think that, Keith, you know, most people think that's between black and white people, that America's divided between black. That's not the case, ladies and gentlemen. This race thing has been blown way out of. And when y'all wake up, one day, one bright morning, as Dr. King said, when y'all wake up one morning, you're going to realize what Malcolm X said about us. You've been hoodwinked. You've been run amok. You've been bamboozled. When you realize your skin color, your race, your experience has been used to keep you in your place, you're going to find out. Let me show you how it works. Lincoln said America divided against itself, right? What he was talking about was white people in America are divided against white people because white people were fighting with white people over the commodity of black people. Huh? Hey, listen here. Hey, Keith, how many signers of the Declaration? How many people signed the Declaration of Independence? 56, something like that? How many? 56?
56.
56. Ladies and gentlemen, 47 of them people were slave owners. 47 of them thugs. That's right, they were thugs, were slave owners, gangsters. And even Thomas Jefferson held slaves. But Thomas Jefferson, help me out, Ken. Thomas Jefferson, Quincy Adams, Benjamin Franklin, who else? They said, we gotta put ending slavery in the Declaration of Independence, and the white people, slave owners, said no. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, that's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He had his first in the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. There was a clause. That clause was condemning slavery, and it condemned slavery. And the King George III was a Christian. He said, not that I'm criticizing Christians or
No,
Christians,
no,
but he called him a Christian, the Christian king. He wanted to continue it, and he believed it. So Jefferson tried to put that in the first draft, and it was rejected. It was annulled.
Can the people find that draft? Is there still original copies of that around that they can look at?
Yes, you could just Google the original draft of the first Declaration of Independence, that Thomas Jefferson wrote. And that was rejected by the South, mostly Georgia at the time. It was the southern states, two of them. I think it was Georgia and North Carolina.
Well, there you go, folks. You see, so literally the first, you see, America was born in civil war. I call that first round the Cold Civil War. Between 1776 all the way up until April the 11th, 1861, that was the Cold Civil War. Then on April the 11th, 1861, in response to Abraham Lincoln being elected, knowing that he's going to try to free the slaves, Southerners, Charleston, South Carolina, where 40% of the slave trade came into America, they opened fire. I'm talking about not ideological words, man. They opened up with cannonade on Fort Sumter out in the harbor of Charleston Harbor, right? And that kicked off the Civil War, which lasted until June 19th, 1865, hence Juneteenth. That was the hot Civil War, once again, over black people. Then, from 1865 up to the present time, we are now in the Cold Civil War again. Over who? Black people. You don't believe me? Let me show y'all something. Joe Biden. What y'all think about Joe Biden? It's a mess, isn't it? The world's a mess because of Joe Biden, right? Our country's a mess. High price of gas, the border open, Afghanistan, COVID mandate, all that stuff, right? Well, did you know that the only reason that Mr. Biden is in the White House is because of black people, particularly black people in South Carolina, particularly led by Congressman, the whip, they call him, the whip. This black man, they call him the whip. James Clyburn told the people on the plantation in South Carolina, y'all vote for Master Joe. Now, I know Master Joe said if y'all don't vote for him, you ain't black. I know that. I know that Master Joe hung out with the Ku Klux Klan, the Grand Cleveland Ku Klux Klan and all. We know that. We know how he is. But y'all gonna vote for Master Joe. World. Hey, Putin. Hey, Xi Jinping. All the rest of y'all, you can thank us black folks for that one. You can thank us for that one. We put that in your hands. Oh, so now Republicans, the white Republicans and the white Democrats, they're fighting each other and accusing each other, and the Marxists and the communists, and they're just carrying on. And every now and then they'll take a black man like this guy here, James Clyburn, who know nothing about the 14th Amendment, know nothing about the Civil Rights Act of 1866, just like the rest of the Congressional Black Caucus. They don't know these things, and they will always prop us up. Check out CNN. Check out MSNBC. They always got one of us as their shield. As Malcolm X said, we've been running amok. He said that these white folks, these liberals, these Democrats, they stuck a lollipop up our anuses. He used another word. Hey, Keith.
Let me read to you in a minute here. Let me read to you the first, just part of that, clause that Jefferson wrote in the first draft of the Declaration.
Please do, my brother.
To your audience. This is Thomas Jefferson's first draft. This is the clause that was omitted from the Declaration, from the final draft, based on slavery. I mean, here it is. He, the King of Britain, has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons. Oh, he referred to us as persons.
Well, I thought we were less than human, brother. What's going on, man?
In the persons of a distant people who never offended him,
That's right.
captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, determined to keep open a market where men, oh, he called us men.
I thought we were three-fifths, man. What's going on here, Keith?
Yeah. Men should be bought and sold, and he has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or to restrain this hateful commerce. That means there were movements to prohibit and restrain the slave trade, and to restrain and to free the slaves. There were efforts. Thomas Jefferson made, for 5 years, efforts, through legislation to try to abolish slavery and stop the slave trade. So don't tell me that Thomas Jefferson was a racist.
Teach, my brother. And that white man right there, y'all see him? That's Thomas. Well, what they think he looked like, something like that. But these white people went to war with white people. The Civil War, and I got to get out of here in a minute. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865, 740,000 innocent, young white boys died, killing each other at point blank range sometimes over us, because of, over us. It's the greatest war these white people have ever fought or ever will fight, because that's when America was great. You hear the man say, make America great again? He's right. This was when America was great, when it was defining. According to the Declaration of Independence, we were going to be a free nation, free of chattel slavery.
Yes.
Them white boys right there.
Yes.
See, of course there were 38,000 black boys that got involved, naturally. But these are white cats. And this war, and let black people understand how important the matter of your life is in this Constitution of the United States. You are the sum total of this nation. You are the living national treasure. That's who you are. All lives matter, yes, but all lives matter in this country because of the matter of black lives. You understand me? Now, I got to get out of here. I got less than a minute. I wanted to talk with y'all tonight, with Ken and the consultants, about 2 documents we created. One is about your religious exemption, which is the Declaration of Independence, and the other one is a manifesto of black people against the mandate. I want to bring us all together. So I want y'all to go out, tell all your friends, if you see this broadcast, I know when you're seeing it, go tell your friends to be here every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Coast time and 10 o'clock p.m. East Coast time for your power weapon on UrbanSmartNetwork.com. Hey, booyah!